My name is Daisy and this is my video evaluation for B2 Creative Industry Response. I will split this video into 3 segments. I will talk about the client and the audience, the book, and the extra items in the final box. We were given 2 briefs to choose from for this project. I chose the Ahead of the Pack brief, which involved improving an existing product or brand. I chose to look at Waterstones as my client, specifically their online presence as a book retailer. During my initial research, I noticed Waterstones as a brand rely heavily on their in-person shops. After completing some more research into Waterstones' target audience, I also discovered that the teenage or Gen Z audience were often overlooked in marketing. Using this information, I chose to create an online exclusive book box aimed at ages 15 to 18 years old. This would be called Book Trove. This audience influenced the style I used when creating my box's branding. I wanted to include the classical atmosphere of Waterstones' branding, but with the bright colour palettes I had seen in products designed for Gen Z. A large number of products for Gen Z also included gradients and bold fonts. I eventually chose to use a bright pink and purple gradient, but use a serif font similar to Waterstones to show it was the parent brand. Within my logo, I also tried to include physical architecture from the Waterstone shops to link back to the client. As part of my research, I looked at other brands that produced book boxes. I used this to inform what I should include in my own box. I then altered the items to meet Waterstones' own branding. My Book Trove box includes a special edition book. During my research on Waterstones' previous collection, I noticed there were no special editions for smaller, still-growing authors. This led me to choose a small author so the special edition can be used to promote them. As a result of this, I chose to create a Waterstones exclusive of Ashes and Wildflowers by Erin Fay. The book follows a female main character facing the challenges of royal courts whilst trying to rebuild her own kingdom, which mysteriously went up in flames. As a part of my research, I read the book and noted down pieces of imagery that I could use within my book design. I used these notes to create thumbnails for the cover and the sprayed edge artwork. I ended up combining a few ideas for my cover, and I chose to add holographic vinyl to represent the foiling that can be found on other Waterstones exclusives. I also chose this colour palette because the colour lavender is a consistent motif throughout the plot. I also used an image of the ruined castle that fuels the main character's motivations throughout the storyline. I included more imagery from my notes in the sprayed edges, such as the entrance to the Fey Kingdom and a small bottle of herbs from the main character. I did this because I wanted the existing fanbase to notice little Easter eggs from the story. I also used watercolour for this because I think it made the painting more vivid. It also spread more easily on the pages because it needs to be a thinner material. Alongside the book, I also created additional bookish items for the box. I did this because I wanted to create excitement around the small author's book. To achieve this, I chose popular fantasy book series and themed items around them. This would bring the existing fanbase to a new story that is similar to the ones they already enjoy. I chose books with an enemies to lovers theme, as this is the theme of Erin Fay's book. I used this to create the overarching theme of rivals and ruin. For my first bookish item, I created a sterling silver necklace based on the book series Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. The book features interesting imagery throughout the storyline, and I chose to represent the series through a tattoo design from the book. The tattoo represents the main character's bond to 2 dragons, a large black club tail called Ten, and a golden feather tail called Andana. I created thumbnails to lay out, and my final design was used to create cutting guides. I used silver clay to produce the necklace because it is long-lasting and feels really high quality in your hand. I also produced a hoodie for the series Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I chose to base the back design on a ballad from within the books. The ballad tells the tale of a skilled archer and a crafty fox who eventually meet her demise. I used only illustration because I wanted the merch to be more subtle to those who hadn't read the books. The book also has a large motif of apples due to one of the characters having a curse placed on them. I chose to include this motif on the front patch design. Overall, I chose a simple vector style for this so I could contrast in colour rather than style against the light pink hoodie. The style also allowed me to create lino sketches for printing. For my box design, I wanted to include fantasy elements such as nautical maps, mountains, and dragons. To do this, I found an old wooden box and I used pyrography to design it. This made it seem more high quality in my opinion, and I think it worked really effectively. In conclusion, I think this project was successful because I created a detailed product which addressed a gap in Waterstones' market. In particular, I think my box design was really effective because it includes elements of Waterstones' existing branding as well as my own for the Book Trove brand. I think using pyrography to design the box also gave it an additional texture which increased quality and made it all the more effective. I also think my book was successful because it effectively conveys the genre so that new readers can be interested in reading it. Using a more simplistic style was effective because it allowed the focus to be on the foiling and the sprayed edge, which interested collectors. Finally, I think my additional items were effective because my goal was to create subtle merchandise for the book series. By using more obscure references and a simpler style, I believe I achieved this as those who don't read the series won't understand the links between them. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.